Welcome to ETF Market Insights, a weekly show focusing on the evolving world of ETF investing. Each Friday, a new panel of thought leaders aims to provide investment education and insights with the goal of helping you become an informed investor. Make sure to visit youtube.com/ETF Market Insights to watch previous episodes. And remember to hit subscribe so you receive a notification when we post new content and when we go live each Friday. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get started.
Hi, I'm your host, Alain, Director with BMO Exchange Traded Funds. Welcome to the ETF Market Insights webinar. Today's session, we're going to focus on ETF tools with great, outstanding experts on the topic. Just a reminder, today we're not providing you any advice or investment recommendation. Today's episode is about providing education around investing and around using ETF. And this is for investors looking to take charge of their own portfolio. With me today, outstanding experts. My colleague, Andrew Vachon, Product Manager at BMO Exchange Traded Funds. Welcome, Andrew. John Lazzarino, Business Development from Quote Media. Hey, John.
Hello.
And Karen Christie, Regional Sales Manager from BMO Investorline. How are you, Karen?
Good, thanks.
Super. So welcome all to the ETF Market Insights webinar. By the way, before we get started, a reminder to check out our YouTube channel to watch any episode you've missed. Remember to please subscribe and ring the bell so that you're notified directly on future shows as they get posted. So the ETF Market Insight website includes tons of tools, podcasts, and topics on ESG, enhanced income, fixed income, and sectors. This is really a great place to go. There's also on that site 3 main BMO ETF tools: the comparison one, the screener one, and the proposal generator. They're free, there's great data, and it's really helpful in portfolio construction and market research. And today with us, we've got Andrew Vachon, Product Manager at BMO ETF, and Andrew will walk us through those 3 tools. Andrew, the floor is yours.
Great, thanks, Alain. I appreciate that. Nice warm welcome. As Alain mentioned, we do have these 3 tools available, and really it's a great free tool to use where we'll stream approximately, you can stream approximately up to 1,000 Canadian listed ETFs and mutual funds across many different metrics, such as risk metrics, performance data, assets under management, any fixed income data, MERs, so on and so forth. I'll just dive right into it here. For our screener tool, whenever you click on that link that Alain demonstrated earlier, you can see our comparison tool is one of the first things that pops up. You're able to view up to 5 different ETFs, and by plugging in the tickers, it comes up right away. Here I'm choosing the ZWU. For example, we'll go ZLB, some low volatility Canadian equity, ZLU, some US low vol equity, and we'll choose another provider here, ZGD for iShares, they're gold, and we'll throw in some fixed income so we can see that as well. How about VAB, which is the Vanguard Canadian Aggregate Bond Index. So a nice layout, all ETFs listed next to each other, all 5 of them. You do have the ability to click on the links that are available, which would populate some of the individual information here, which we'll see in the comparison tool. Whenever you click on these links, it'll show us the top 10 holdings, ETF overview, and some other valuable information that we'll go over here. This data that you're seeing here in the price data is dated as of yesterday's close, so August 24th. You can view the NAV, 1-day change, mid-price for all of these ETFs. If I collapse the fund information, again, data as of yesterday's close, we can see which ETFs have a particular equity fund style, if applicable. Here we chose mainly large growth, but if it was value, it would show up in the value section, small blend, and of course, there's your fixed income. It'll just show the credit quality, which is medium. The objective, the investment objective, some stuff that you'd see on the simplified prospectus, illustrating what the investment actually invests in, and who the investment is potentially for. The inception date here, so you can see how long the ETF has been in existence, assets under management, of course, and MERs that are available here for those shoppers who want to check and see which ETFs provide the most value, and any benchmark that's applicable to that particular ETF that's assigned to that ETF would be listed there as well. And the meat and potatoes, the exciting part, one of the most exciting parts of this tool is viewing the performance. You could view it on a 1, 3, 5 year common inception date and since inception date as well. All this data would be for month end. So we're seeing here July 31st. And if you could take your cursor and run it along this nice colorful graph, you'll be able to see how your ETFs would have performed during that time. Of course, all that data here is cumulative data, and on the table below, this data is annualized. You're able to see all the 5 ETFs listed next to each other, of course, and you can view sort of which ETFs has had momentum as of late, which ones how they performed over a medium term and long term. On the fund data drop-down menu, it'll list the number of holdings within each ETF. So if you're interested in more consolidated ETFs or more diversified ETFs, the trailing yield for those yield shoppers, you're able to see which ETFs maybe provide more yield than others, and that distribution frequency if you want to get paid on a monthly basis, quarterly basis, or annual basis, duration for the fixed income, any standard deviation for risk. Depending on how much risk you want to take, you can view this stat there. And here's your assets under management listed there. The market data for those traders wanted to see what the 30-day average volume would be. And of course, we want to see the holdings. Here you'll see a breakdown of the holdings, only the top 3 listed here. So if you want to see the top 10, just simply click on the links above, which I demonstrated earlier. The sector breakdown, you can compare and contrast all the ETFs that you've provided, and you could see the geographic exposure as well. So if you really wanted to complement one ETF to another, it's a good layout and good breakdown. Overall, it's a great tool to use if you want to compare and contrast 5 different ETFs. And of course, all of this information can be viewed on a PDF document if you choose to download it. And save it for later, and you can come back and compare and contrast. Alain?
Thank you. The second tool after the comparison one is the screener. Sorry. Could you walk us through, and how could it be helpful if I want to build a portfolio? What can I find inside of that tool?
Great. Yeah, thanks, Alain. So for the screener tool, it's very useful for those who may want to either complement your portfolio with a particular stock. You could use it that way. You could use it as a stock replacement tool, or you could use it for potentially tax loss selling if you want to have a particular exposure to, say, I don't know, a bank stock, and you don't want to wait the 30 days before you purchase that stock again. You do have the ability to check and see which ETFs might be holding that particular stock. So let's take a quick look at that. Recently, we had some earnings come out for our banks. So I'll put in a Royal Bank here, and you could actually adjust the weighting within that particular within these particular ETFs. So for example, if you didn't want to have an ETF show up that had anything below a 9% weighting, you could go ahead and just adjust there, and it'll show us the 10 results that are available within the universe within Canada. Here we'll see right away the BMO ETFs listed here, and then you'll get into all the ETFs that we do have available. You could assort them in ascending or descending order as well. You can see here the AUM, or maybe even the screen stock, which one has the most weighting in there because you're very bullish on that particular holding. We have a ZEB equal weight showing 14%, followed by ZWB, then ZEW listed there. You do have the ability to click on these boxes and actually compare these ETFs. It'll kick you back to the comparison tool that I demonstrated earlier, and you could download this screener as well if you, again, wanted to save it and come back to that particular screener. So overall, this does provide us with quite a bit of information. You could even play with it to see, you know, which ETF providers has the most AUM in their ETFs, and shop via MER as well. Alain.
I mean, there's a lot of things, and seeing you know, walking through this, it seems so easy to find that kind of information. Really, really priceless. So I compared. I find some key information on some individual stocks. Now I want to build a portfolio. Could you help me out?
Sure. So now that you've done all your research, you do have the ability to build your own portfolio through your portfolio generator, which is, I would say, you probably want to visit this last after you've done your ETF screener and comparison tool. So if you simply click on the portfolio generator, it'll allow you to enter in up to 15 different ETFs. And we do have a new feature here where you can actually select a preset model. The popular asset allocation ETFs that are available for sale in Canada are all listed here through BMO. So you could click on, let's just say, the BMO Growth ETF, and you would load that up, and you're able to see all the holdings populate right away, and you could choose whether or not you want to keep them this way or possibly eliminate one or two of them. In this case, we'll just take off one for illustrative purposes here, and maybe in this portfolio you want to become a little bit more, I don't know, defensive. So you add in some low vol in there. You might want to add some gold in there. We'll choose Kilo, the Purpose Gold Bullion ETF, and you want to keep it so you'll have a little bit of income coming into you. So we would choose the ZWU, our covered call utilities ETF, listed there. And just like anything else, whenever you see a financial planner, they'll ask you how much you want to invest. And you could choose your investment, your initial investment, we'll say $25,000, and you have the ability to enter in your monthly investment as well. Here we put in $1,000. You could choose a monthly, quarterly, or yearly investment. And here we'll just keep it on a monthly basis. And of course we'll want to allocate this portfolio. So let's see what comes up. Here we have the proposal all listed for you there. Now you can see that the ETFs that you've chosen are showing a 0. So for demonstration purposes, we'll quickly allocate to some of these ETFs so we can see what it does look like. And again, maybe we do want to add more income to your portfolio, so you can go ahead and do so here. Add in some protection for your gold here. A safe haven, potentially more defensive. As you can see, it's pretty easy for me to scroll through and just quickly add there. You do have the ability to choose a time period. So in this case, we'll just choose 3 years, and that particular investment, you would have invested a total of $61,000, which gives you about a $10,000 return. You could see how your investments would have performed during that time. Of course, past performance isn't indicative of future performance, but we do want to see how this particular investment would have invested if you would have started, say, I don't know, 5 years ago. It would have given you approximately a 7% return, not too bad. And here's your yield, so you're able to get paid a little bit on a monthly basis there for you. So in general, once you've done your due diligence and you want to see how your portfolio would have performed in the past, and go from there, you're able to do so with this nice free tool, Alain.
This is great because it's not just hearing about the fact that we've got those tools, to see how easy it is to use, how informative it is to use. So thank you, Andrew, around, showing us the tool, how they can be helpful. John, since 12 years I've been with BMO Exchange Traded Funds, we had numerous discussion with IAs, investors around the true liquidity, the true volume of negotiation of ETF in Canada. When I Google an individual ETF, I think only the information regarding the TSX. Could you expand on it and explain what Quote Media can do to help us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, certainly. I think what we're talking about here now is is the fractured liquidity picture in the Canadian market, really. So at one time, if you pulled up a quote on any of the major portals in Canada, for instance, you would receive the complete volume picture. That's because at that time there were few markets, and the Toronto Stock Exchange represented essentially the vast majority of total volume in Canada. And every portal that displayed data was essentially using the same source. But you fast forward, a decade or so, and things have changed considerably. Now there's about a dozen venues in Canada that trade, and if you pull up data from multiple sources or different sources, they may be using different data sets. If they're just using TSX, it becomes just 50% of the volume, right? So the TSX today is still the largest single contributor to volume in Canada, but on average, their share is now about 50%. So if you look at next, I think an example of that we'll see in our next slide, where you can see the volume fluctuation that you'll see in just one product. I think in this case we're using the example of the BMO Aggregate Bond Index. But what the picture really doesn't paint is that that's a snapshot in time, and that volume fluctuation is not distributed equally. So that picture might be at the end of the day, it could be 50% that you're looking at, but if you take a snapshot during intraday, say, you could be looking at volume that's just on the TSX, that would be representative of maybe 10% of actual volume. So, what you're looking at in our next slide here is going to be our regional quote widget, which is a quote media product. This displays total volume of all the volume from contributing markets in Canada. And as you'll see, the total volume of the BMO Aggregate Bond Index across all the markets was about 1.2 million shares, whereas the volume at that point in time was 105. So if you just pulled up a quote at that point in time, you would see the ZAG ETF with 105,000 volume when it actually had a 1.17 million at that point in time. So it really doesn't give you that great picture. If you use the quote media data set, which is the consolidated data product, then you get the complete picture on every quote intraday, historically, at the end of every day.
John, I think this is really informative. There's not that much Canadians and even investment advisors that do realize, how big is the Canadian market in terms of trading places. Thanks. This was really, really great information. And now let's ask Karen to come in. Karen, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having me.
Karen, I know BMO Investorline has great tools. I know Advise Direct is really something interesting, innovative. Could you speak to us a bit? What is Advise Direct, and what are those ETF buy recommendations?
Perfect, thank you. So with BMO Investorline, we offer two separate platforms. We offer self-directed and Advice Direct. So with self-directed, it's kind of like you are the pilot. You make the decisions, you do the research, you pull the trigger. With Advice Direct, you're still the pilot, but you get additional support and tools, which kind of helps give you somewhat of a co-pilot. So what does that mean? So with Advice Direct, investors receive tailored buy recommendations. This is determined by a series of KYC questions that an investor will answer at the time of the account opening or at the time when their investment needs may change. For someone who doesn't have a lot of time or resources, this can be a game changer. So investors can sort through their unique buy recommendations, and this can be for stocks or ETFs. For the purpose of today, we'll talk about ETFs, and you can sort through price, market, category, MER, and or ratings. And for more detailed information, on the right-hand side of that screen, you can click on the symbol and there'll be more information available. The unique thing about Advice Direct is that if clients have any questions regarding these recommendations, they can call Investorline Advice Direct and speak directly with an Advice Direct advisor.
Wow, this is really innovative. I know you do offer a lot of research. Could you explain to us a bit what's available for the clients of Investorline?
Of course. So we have research tools available on both platforms of Self-Directed Advice Direct. We have the research tools and ETF dashboard. Basically, the ETF dashboard provides foundational learning videos, including what is an ETF, ETF basics, asset allocation, etc. On the right side of that screen, you'll see the ETF compare tool. This tool allows you to compare up to 4 ETFs at any given time. On the bottom, you'll see the themes tool. The themes tool helps investors browse through ETFs on different themes. Some of them that are include enhanced income equity, US large cap equity, technology, fixed income, and healthcare. Now, the ETF screener. The ETF screener allows investors to narrow down their selection by applying specific investment criteria. So some of the examples of the filters that can be used are country, portfolio, returns, the Morningstar rating, MER percentage, categories, average daily volume, and the ETF provider company. You can also filter by country, so Canada and the US. You can filter by portfolio, so the number of holdings and sector exposure. And under returns, you can choose anywhere from 3 months up to 10 years, and you can further narrow down the search by a certain percentage return. This screener is a great tool to use for more comprehensive data and analysis.
Karen, great explanation on the tools, on the screeners, but there's more. With Investorline, there's some promo offers on both the self-directed and Advice Direct. Can you speak to us about those offers?
So I come bearing some promo offers. Under our self-directed platform, you can open and fund a new self-directed account and get $4.95. I repeat, $4.95 on equity and non-commission-free ETF trades. And I'll go into more detail about the commission-free ETFs in a moment. So how do you qualify for this promo? You just click on the link, open an account, and enter the promo code InvestSmart. The $4.95 will be applied to online and mobile equity and non-commission-free ETF trades for 90 days, commencing the 5th business day of the following month. The promo code is applied. Under Advice Direct, if you open and fund a new Advice Direct account, you can get up to $2,500. So how do you qualify? You click on the link, you open the account before August 31st. So this promo specifically is until August 31st, and enter the promo code DIGITAL19. You will need to fund at least a minimum of 10,000 net new assets and hold that until February 28th of 2023 in order to qualify for the promo. So as I mentioned, Investorline has commission-free ETF trades under both the Self-Direct and Advice Direct platforms. There are over 80 commission-free ETFs that cover a broad range of asset classes, geographies, management styles, and popular themes from the largest ETF providers, which include Vanguard, iShares, and of course BMO. These ETFs were chosen as they have high values, high liquidity, and provide options for a wide range of investors. The list of commission-free ETFs can be found on the Investorline website.
I'll just ask the question to Karen. Karen, please reply to it. Karen, if people want to know more about all those great offers, what can they do?
Well, as an Investorline regional sales manager, I welcome the opportunity to discuss which of our digital investing platforms is best suited for you. So please feel free to reach out. My email's on the screen, or feel free to use one of our digital promo codes to take advantage of our current promotional offers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Karen. This was really informative. Thank you, John and Andrew. And I think we've received a couple of questions from the audience. So let's look at some of those questions. And I'll ask Mr. Vachon, product manager at BMO ETF, to help us out with that one. Please, Andrew, could you explain to us why market have rallied recently?
There's really a couple of things that happened, Alain. Inflation numbers both in the US and Canada came in lower than expected. It was viewed that there could be some light at the end of the tunnel, and the market started to price in a bottom and potentially a peak to this inflation that we're in. It was expected that there could be a chance that the Bank of Canada and Fed come in a little bit more dovish and even slow down or ease up the frequency of rates and possibly even start to begin to cut rates come mid-2023. Of course, all this has been good news for investors since it could indicate the bottom to the bear market that we're in. And we also saw a pickup in growth stocks, specifically tech stocks on the back of a good earnings season. We saw ETFs like ZNQ, ZSP, and COM start to perform well and provide us double-digit returns. Of course, there is a realization that we're still a little far off from the target inflation rate of 2%. And it appears that the market is starting to brace itself a little bit. There's been a little bit of a pause in anticipation of what's to come in September, and as we wait for the decision from the central banks. We don't expect volatility to go away anytime soon, but we do know that volatility creates investment opportunities, Alain.
Andrew, there's another question from the audience. What is the outlook on Canadian oil? Are experts predicting Canada will export oil to Europe, specifically in countries like Germany this fall? And does BMO have a natural gas and fossil fuel?
Yeah, thanks, Alain. It could really depend on your viewpoint. For example, natural gas would most likely have to be shipped by pipeline from Western Canada to a still unbuilt liquefaction terminal on the Atlantic coast. Given Europe's commitment to a rapid transition to a cleaner economy, along with other developed countries, Trudeau said that there may not be a strong enough business case to build this costly infrastructure. Trudeau and his German counterpart, Chancellor Olaf Scholz, discussed earlier this week that their priority is actually developing cleaner energy sources like green hydrogen in Canada to export to Europe to help solve the continent's energy crunch. Trudeau signed a hydrogen alliance agreement with Germany, where Canada plans to export hydrogen to Germany by 2025. Having said that, many believe that the transition to a cleaner economy is still a little far away and traditional energy will remain higher for longer. If that's the case, then traditional energy companies will continue to remain profitable. One may want to look at both traditional energy ETFs and clean energy ETFs, such as ZEO, the BMO Equal Weight Oil and Gas Index ETF, and ZCLN, BMO's Clean Energy Index ETF. Alain?
I mean, this was a great ETF market insight. First, Andrew, I think you did showcase really well the BMO ETF tool inside of the Market Insight website. John, that was really informative to understand how deep is the Canadian market in terms of trading places. Thanks to have been with us in, I know, a busy day schedule. Karen, your smile, your willingness to, inform us about, what's going on with Investorline, showcase us also the promo, was really helpful. Thank you, the three of you. This was another great week of ETF Market Insight. Thank you to everyone who tuned in this week. Thank you again, Andrew, John, Karen, for being our expert today. Friday, September 9th, Erin Allen will be back as your host. She's going to be walking you through our blue chip quality and dividend investing webinar. I hope you'll join us. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching this week's episode of ETF Market Insights. To stream any previous episode of ETF Market Insights series, please visit youtube.com/ETF Market Insights. Remember to hit subscribe and sign up for alerts so you know when we post new content. Also, we invite you to visit our accompanying website for ETF tools, education, and much more at etfmarketinsights.com. Once again, thank you for watching. The session provided is for information purposes only. Any reference to a particular company or product is for illustrative purposes only and should not be considered as investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell. Particular investments and/or trading strategies should be evaluated relative to the individual's investment objectives, and professional advice should be obtained with respect to any circumstance.